Oh, hi, Renee. Welcome to the show. I love Renee. She's so awesome. She's 35 and she has 5 kids. Amazing. And she works as a midwife. So she's got this crazy job. Well, it's not crazy, but, like obviously women can have babies at any time. So, you probably get some crazy call outs. And she started in our challenge and then she joined the WinAtLife program and you just did exceptionally well. You just really someone who comes in and applies himself and you got amazing results, which I'm not surprised about because you're just so dedicated. You're like me, you just needed to find the right thing to do instead of killing yourself doing all the wrong stuff. So can you talk about what you were doing prior to joining the challenge and then the program and like what were all the issues that you were having?
Yeah, so I've been training at the gym probably just on my own, probably for around 5 years, I guess, before joining the program. And then I spent probably the year immediately before joining, I was doing F45 and I was doing that probably 5 days a week. And then diet wise, I tried so many different things, kind of cycling in and out of, low carb, high fat, and then full on keto. And I toyed with the idea of veganism, but decided I liked dairy far too much for that. So yeah, just did quite a bit of things, but I constantly I'd get great results when I'd do, different challenges would come up and I'd go all in and I'd do this challenge for like 8 weeks, whatever it was, where you pretty much killed yourself with no calories and lots of exercise. And I'd get amazing results, but it was never sustainable. And so within, my body would burn out literally at the end of the 8 weeks. I'd take a couple of months off and feel like I'd just taken this big jump back and I'd have to do the next 8-week challenge to try and get back the results again. And I just felt like I couldn't maintain that. And, I've always suffered from like chronic fatigue type syndromes, very all over the place cycles. So my menstrual cycle, literally for me, normal would be anything between 45 and 60 days. That would be completely normal for me. Occasionally, once or twice a year, I might do a 90-day cycle, heavy, painful, all the stuff that kind of went with that as well. So it was just not like, I just felt like I was constantly on that kind of rat race and cycle of like up and down all the time, and just never finding anything that I felt like I could stay doing. But I love training, and that was the one thing that I'd always be super consistent about, even if my food wasn't consistent, was I'd always train. But it's just was always so hard because I'd burn out so after a few weeks of doing it, and I'd have to have this huge break, and it was just, that's what I found quite hard to deal with. And then you become quite deflated. And just, I guess physically knew that it wasn't really kind of working for me and my body at all.
Crazy. Yeah, it's just, remember you were doing the keto? I actually remember a post that you posted in the challenge and it was something about like you couldn't believe that you're eating all this carbs and losing weight.
And so many carbs. Oh my goodness. Keto and all the inventive things that you do with keto, like that's what always blows my mind. And it's funny because I still, like on Instagram, I still follow a few people that do keto, and I just would sit there laughing at like all the different kind of things you would make to tell yourself that you were eating normal food, and it was just, the burgers or, the sweet desserts and with no sugar or any kind of actual real sweetness in it. And I just was just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that was my life. Like, I think I did it for a solid 9 months or something. And you just think, and all the Coke Zero you drink just so that you felt like I don't know, we're having something nice. It's just insane. I can't even believe now that I even did it, and I stuck to it for that long. Like,
I know, good willpower, really good willpower. Oh, it's crazy.
But that's the thing. Like, if I put my mind to something, I'm like, no matter what it is, I'll be pretty good at sticking to it until I get to that point where it was just complete burnout. Like just absolute mentally and physically burnt out from whatever I was doing at the time.
Yeah, it is. It's just like you say, totally unsustainable and unenjoyable too.
100%. Because in the minute while you're doing it, you think, oh yeah, I love this, but but then you look back and you burn out. You're just like, oh, I can't even do this anymore.
Oh, I can't even imagine doing it again. Like, I just can't even fathom how I just got through the days eating so low calories too. Like, it's mind blowing, but it's good. You saw the light. So how long have you been in the program now since the challenge?
It will be
12 months?
Yeah, 12, 13
12
months.
months.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah, 12, 40 months. And so let's talk about the changes you've seen. So let's first of all talk about, like we talk about all the subjective measures, period, skin, or maybe this amazing post about your skin, all that sort of stuff. Like, what change have you seen there?
So now, firstly, my cycle's being on 32 days practically to the second. Like sometimes I start going, oh, I think I'm getting my period. And I'll look at my app like, surely not. And then be like, oh, no, I'm actually due. Like, this is crazy. I think it's been, the first time in almost my whole life where like the app thing says that you have a regular cycle, which has been like the biggest thing. And also no real symptoms. So pre the challenge, I was actually on like trying antidepressants because I had real bad PMS, like real bad. And I tried everything and nothing worked. Tried contraception, didn't work. And the doctor was like, the only thing we've got left is antidepressants around your cycle. But the thing with that is that you can't really just take them for a week or 2 a month. Like, you end up on them all the time. And I was just like, I don't want to be down this road. But now I don't have that at all. I don't really get much period pains at all, which is crazy, and certainly I would never class it as a heavy period at all now. So that has been one of the biggest changes I've had, which sometimes I take it for granted now unless I'm talking to friends or whatever, and be like, oh man, I don't even have that problem anymore. Like, it's quite crazy. And skin wise has been so huge as well, because I've had I like a bit of sun and stuff, and had quite like pigmented skin, real bad breakouts all the time, quite dry skin, like get real itchy in that too. But I've had none of that. I mean, I hardly ever wear makeup most of the time, so aside from a little bit of powder dusted here and there and some mascara, and that's it. I just sit there and think, oh man, I can't remember the last time I cracked the old foundation out, like it's been been so good. The other thing that actually has been huge improvement in is circulation. So my whole life I would have said that I had like Raynaud syndrome, feet and hands freezing cold, bum freezing cold. Like, I'd be in bed and my husband would be like, oh gosh, like your feet and your bum are always so cold. And now it's like the total opposite. Like, it's absolutely flipped around. Like, I can't even, unless it's been a real cold day and I've been outside, I just don't really actually feel much of the cold anymore. Like, I'm more likely to be sitting there stripping all my clothes off than I am to be grabbing a jacket, which again has been absolutely huge for me. And I've also had, like, because I was saying before that I'd had suffered from like chronic fatigue type symptoms probably since I was about 12, when I got glandular fever, and I would have flare-ups of it more often than I wouldn't have anything. And now I would have to take some real stressful stuff at work or at home, and I'll start feeling a bit of a flare-up coming on, but then it kind of only lasts a few days and then it settles down again. Like, I don't ever really get a big flare-up anymore, ever, and those have just been some massive changes again that I think I don't really appreciate that I don't have them anymore until, like, I talk to my sister who still kind of suffers from it, and I'm like, oh man, I actually can't remember the last time I had one of those either, like, it's been so amazing. And that other people have noticed as well. Like, that's always kind of like pretty cool that other people notice things, or, oh, what are you doing? And, that kind of thing, which has been quite
totally. Yeah, I agree. Because when others know, you're like, wow, really, like your partner was saying about you not being moody. Anymore. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, because, you kind of don't, I guess when you're in it, like, you don't really truly appreciate that you're like that, and then you go, oh yeah, I
was a mole. That's so awesome. And what about the physical? Because you've had great body composition changes too.
Oh yeah, really good. So I think the funny thing is that and you often talk about it too in your posts, is about like we can be so focused on weight and how much we weigh. And, you know, I was not immune to that too. I was always had kind of that number in my mind that I wanted to sit around. And I think for so much of my life, I was like, it was 60 and then it kind of was 65. And then for me to get up around 70, I'd be like, oh man, like I really need to lose some weight from up around 70. And yet it's funny because now I'm pretty like right the second, I'm probably the same weight that I was when I started the program, which is about 73. But I've got, I think it was when I got some measures done, it was I wrote it down somewhere, so I want 3.4 kilos of muscle up in a year. So, you know, like that is, for, you know, that's a lot of weight and muscle, you know.
Amazing. Sorry, keep going. No,
I was just saying that it was, yeah, like for me, like that's why I have to keep reminding myself. Like I try not to even step on the scales that much. Like I doing chickens and stuff, I'm like, I just want to do my measurements, not the weight. You know, so I'm like, because the weight means nothing, because I know that so much of my weight is muscle now. And even a couple of my tops I went to put on a jacket the other day, and I hadn't worn it probably for 2 winters because, you know, last winter we were locked down, so it didn't go anywhere. And I was like, oh, I can't put it.
Back gains.
It's so tight. Like it's so tight because of my arms and my back. I'm like, oh, this is uncomfortable. But again, you know, like where I'd be before, like, oh my gosh, that's so depressing. It's tighter. But I know that that's from growing muscle and not from being.
Because you're a really good lifter too. Like I've seen your lifting videos. You're a really excellent technical lifter. And it's, you know, you were saying to me, like people come up to the gym and ask you if you're competing.
Yeah, I know. So like so much so, and that I'm always like, oh man, I need to get some headphones or something to like put so that they don't talk to me.
That's so flattering though.
Oh no, it is. It's just it's hard to take a compliment sometimes. Still working on that one. But yeah, like I've had so many people that will come up and ask me questions about like, are you lifting professionally? Are you doing a show? Like, oh, I need to get back into. I had one guy the other day, and he's like, I thought it was quite, you know, a bit guy, and he was like, oh, I'm trying to get back into deadlifting, and your technique looks really good, and like, do you mind if I come over for some tips next time you're doing it? And it's stuff like that's quite, you know, again, because you kind of see your changes slowly. That I don't look at myself all the time and think, oh yeah, you look really good, you know. So again, that's quite cool, like getting different people that say stuff. And obviously, I mean, I'm going to the same gym for a while, so they get used to kind of seeing you.
So good.
It's like composition-wise, it's been so just such a good progress, given I feel like I'm when I'm training harder, but I'm not training as much. Like I'm training 30 days, but with direction. You know, I think that's what it is, direction and changing technique and doing things better. So you kind of have that whole quality over quantity thing going, which overall is what makes it sustainable as well.
How many days a week are you training? What's your program?
So it should be 4 days a week, but I probably would almost never train 4 days a week. I'm pretty much at 3, really. I find that that's the best juggle between being able to go and work and family and stuff is 3 days a week. So
I think that a lot of women in the program really love that because it's you can commit to it and actually achieve it. When you've got kids, I mean, you've got 5 bloody kids and you work like I don't even know how you do it. You're amazing. Every time I think I'm busy, I'm like, Kitty, you are not busy. You don't have fucking kids.
Oh man, it will be nice for work to slow down a bit, I have to say. Like,
all these women just keep pumping out these bloody babies. I mean, fuck.
Yeah,
so funny. Oh, that's so awesome. So, now when women are thinking about joining this program, the WinAtLife program, they have some reservations, and you may have had these as well. So the first one is time. They're worried that they won't have time to do it. What would you say to that, given you have 5 kids and you work?
I think that again, it's about obviously making time is a priority for our health, but I think it's really difficult when you have work and kids to feel like you can make the time. But I think the biggest realization for me was at the beginning it was probably a little bit harder because there's so much of the background of the program and how it works and why it works. You know, there's a bit of kind of study, for lack of a better word, to kind of put in so you understand why you're doing what you're doing, but you very quickly get a handle on that because of all the help that's available to you. So I don't actually feel that it takes me any more time. In fact, like I say, I mean, I train less now. So for me, the time itself has been, I feel like I use my time better now in the program than what I did before, because you have a plan, you have direction, and so you're not needlessly obsessing over things that you would obsess over before with no direction, kind of flapping around, not thinking, what are you doing? So from that perspective, I find that probably the first month or so, trying to get my head around everything was probably the biggest hurdle in the start. But once that you kind of got on your roll of your chickens and what you're doing, I just felt like the time thing was absolutely negligible, because I absolutely spend far less time on meal prep and training than I ever did before.
So good. And now you're obviously in New Zealand and we're in Australia, and you never see us face to face, and you get your program, you send in your videos for feedback, you have you check in. It's all completely online, and a lot of women are worried about doing it online. How have you found it online, the time difference, how have you found the support, the systems? I
found it always really good. I never really have to wait that long for any responses. If you put a message on, it's always answered. And as far as the coaching thing, I personally love having the videos, because you can keep going back and watching them. And so you take your video, you submit it for your training, and then I always watch the feedback when it comes in, and then when I'm at the gym next doing that move again, I'll go back through and watch it again, so that you can pick your tips up, which you can't. If someone's with you face to face, you're not going to kind of get that all the time. You're not always going to be training with someone right there and then. And so for me, I just found that it works so well doing it this way. The time difference has never been any issue whatsoever. Again, I think too, because so much things are videoed as well to you, that you can always, you just watch it when it's free for you. And same with the coaching, with nutrition and things as well. I love now that too, that it's done by video, not just like written. I think that's really cool. It's adds that personal element to it, and does give you that feel like you're doing it face to face. I mean, the whole world's online now, isn't it?
Totally.
People got used to Zoom. Like, I'm kind of like, what, you want me to go out in real life and talk to people? Like, what is this?
Oh, that's so funny.
I like my Zoom bubble. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome. And some women are like, I don't know if I want to invest this sort of money in myself. Do you feel like you've got value for money?
Oh, 100%.
Has it been worth it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's been worth it, because, you learn skills that you then have with you, you know what I mean? And ultimately, at the end of the day, you kind of, it's what works for you is going to be a little bit different to the next person and the next person. So it's not like you don't get your meal plan and off we go, this is what it is. And, I think that's unmaintainable anyway. So you kind of are learning those basic principles that you then use in your everyday life anyway. And so from that perspective, it's absolutely well worth it. I mean, if you go to the gym and get a personal trainer, it's going to cost you a whole lot more money without the dimensions. You're literally just going to have someone standing there for that half an hour training session or whatever, telling you what you're going to do, and then that's it, So from a money perspective, it's absolutely well worth it. It's definitely, I don't think anyone would regret it. If you're going to pay the money, then you put the time in, and you'd make it worth it, and then you won't regret it. You know what I mean?
100%. And finally, if a woman was sitting on the fence, she wasn't sure about joining, what would you say to her?
Just do it, just give it a try. Like, you've literally got nothing to lose, because ultimately if you put that time and effort into learning the program and making it work in your life, then you will absolutely see results in one way or another. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, and what I've learned over this whole program is it's really is about consistency and not perfection. Like, none of us are going to be perfect. You're not going to always nail the meal plans. Not always, sometimes you go to events and things and you're not always going to stick to your plan, and you're going to eat that food or drink that drink that probably you shouldn't be eating or drinking. But it's about still enjoying life and knowing that one little meal or that one little day is just a little blip, and it's not even going to make any difference if you're not doing that every single day. And so it's about that consistency. You're never ever going to be perfect with anything. You're never going to be perfect with your training either. Like, you're going to have days where you're like, oh, that was ugly. But it's about consistently showing up and showing up for yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's the one thing that nobody's going to ever be able to do for you. Ever. You're going to have to do it yourself. And so, you learn the skills with the support that you have available to you. And it's a win-win at the end of the day. You can't go wrong with it.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for jumping on and sharing. Hopefully your story will inspire women to either jump on board and join the program, or at least stop, doing crazy stuff like keto and flogging themselves every day in the gym, because you just don't need to do it.
No, good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Renee. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll chat to you in the program.
Awesome.
Okay. Bye. Bye.